This is the third video in the three-part series for your final approval and preparing for your closing. This video discusses the acceptable assets or acceptable funds for closing. So the final CD has been issued. You now know the number. Let's take that scenario. You can go to your bank, get a cashier's check or certified funds check, same thing, just tell them you're closing on a home and make it payable to the title company in the dollar amount provided. If you do that, you can show up to closing, you got that check in your grubby little hands, and you can then hand that over knowing you're good. That is my preferred method of transferring funds because, again, you have something physical that you know is there. Another option, you can wire the funds. Some banks can allow you to do this over the phone, others require you do that in person. We recommend you wire those funds as soon as possible. Can even be the day before. You could honestly do it weeks before. When you wire the funds, you send it over to title. You'll have to ask the title company for their wiring instructions. Go to the bank and get it done. Realize banks have wiring cutoffs. So if you're closing in the afternoon and your wire is not out by arbitrarily picking 2 o'clock, you may not get the funds there and you may not actually fund on time. So if you do the wire, make sure it's initiated early. Make sure you give up a couple extra padded hours in case there is some sort of delay from your bank or the title company's bank. So you can absolutely do the wire. If you are, another scenario, selling another home, a piece of real estate, and maybe the funds from that are used for some or all of your funds for the purchase or even refinance. The title companies will typically talk, but you have to make sure that gets done. I mean, yes, in theory, they should be doing their jobs. They should make sure the one goes to the other. It's your home, it's your loan. Make sure that gets done. Same thing as the wires, make sure it's initiated early. If you're using the same title company, easy peasy. That's awesome. What's not acceptable, guys, is cash, briefcase cash, no good, in case you didn't know that. It would be funds that maybe come from another account. In other words, if my name's Joe Buyer, you can't have Richie Rich check come into this and issue these closing statements. It can't be typically won't be acceptable if you use a business check. So it needs to be something from your funds with your name to make sure it's acceptable. Personal checks are not allowed. So in theory, if the dollar amount is under $1,500 is a very common number. Title companies say, oh sure, personal checks are allowed because it's less than $1,500. Guys, different title companies have different guidelines and what they will and won't allow. I've heard some say $1,200, $1,500 is the most common. I'm just telling you, get a cashier's check or certified funds check. Go to the bank, spend the extra $5, whatever it's going to cost to get that check issued from the bank. Because that personal funds check doesn't work and they don't allow it, you got a problem. It's a last minute scramble. So it's a lot of information, but ultimately, guys, if you have questions, do call us. If you're doing a wire or if there's other parties involved, make sure you get that done and initiated early, and call us if you have any questions.